Hey guys, welcome back. So many of you I know are co-parenting right now with someone who is just really toxic, unhealthy, narcissistic, and a lot of you really stress the importance of not wanting this person to damage your child. And so you become very worried and anxious, and you're losing that sense of control that you had before when you guys were together, thinking about the thought that your child could possibly be with this person for an extended period of time, and you don't know what damage they're possibly doing to your child, whether it's verbal abuse, emotional abuse, etc. So in this video, I want to talk about ways that you actually do have control, that you always will, because you will always be the healthy, steady parent that this child needs, and how you can actually help your child along the way. Now, obviously, this video is going to be very general because we're not going to talk in specific terms, because every situation is so incredibly different. Every person who is toxic or narcissistic is different in terms of how they're going to abuse or be unhealthy or display their toxic behaviors on not just the child, but even on you, and how you all are going to handle those situations. And the age of the child is different as well. So the way you're going to parent each child along the way is going to be obviously different. You're not going to sit down with a 7-year-old and tell them that their parent is narcissistic, but you can absolutely, no matter the age of the child and the stage or the things that they are seeing and witnessing, you absolutely will be able to help your child along the way to make sure that there's as minimal amount of damage as possible. I think one thing to also keep in mind, and I think as parents, especially when you're a good parent and you don't want to see your child in any amount of pain or being uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form, we do have to accept as parents, though, that that is not the nature of life, and that even if it's not this parent belittling, hurting, damaging your child in any way, shape, or form, life is going to hand your child uncomfortable situations that they just have to learn how to navigate through, and it's going to be at all levels and stages of their life as well. So if it's not this parent, it will be the bully on the playground. And just like the bully on the playground, you will be there to comfort, to validate, to soothe, to help, to motivate, to inspire, to give your child everything that he or she needs in order to not have those situations affect them in a negative way. We all know the damage that a narcissistic parent can do. If you're watching this video, then chances are you know your ex to a T, and you know the things that they either are doing or could possibly be doing that could be damaging to your child. We don't want our children growing up with these distorted self-images of themselves because their parent is just a little critical or just sets unrealistic expectations on their child. We also obviously don't want our children to struggle with things like self-esteem because they don't feel good enough in the eyes of this parent. The emotional manipulation that a child can experience at times can definitely have a big impact on just how they feel about themselves and how they're able to process their feelings in real time. Now, here's the big difference between them being in those situations and them being with you. The healthiest you can be will start to, no matter the age of the child, it will get the child to see the difference in where they feel love and accepted versus where they feel the emotional disconnect. Now, this is good because obviously we want the child to always go to you, to always feel comfortable, to be able to verbally express themselves, to feel loved, to feel seen, to feel validated. We want the child to feel everything that it needs to feel with you so that they know that you are always going to be home. And this has nothing to do with, well, we have 50-50 and they're with the other parent half of the time. It doesn't matter. We want them to know where home really is, where is unconditional love. So everything that you're going to do to help your child along the way is going to allow them to have that sense of stableness that they need to overcome some of the things that they're probably going to go through. What I also want you to remember is think about your past. Think about your childhood. It doesn't matter if both parents were narcissistic, doesn't matter if one parent was codependent. It's all about who did you have an emotional connection with, and what were the things that you received and what were the things that you didn't receive growing up. And it is about you learning from those mistakes to become a whole healthy parent yourself. It's also about working on your own self. So if your mother and if your father had really understood their wounds, their triggers, all of the things that we talk about on this channel and everywhere on my social media. And if you guys aren't following me, I'll link that down below. But if you're really diving into self-development and you're working on yourself, not only are you becoming just a happy, whole person on your own, but you're also showing your children how to do this as well. This is why they say when you're on the airplane, put your emergency mask on first, put on your stuff first, and then you can help someone else. So the healthier you become with how you also interact with this person will help your child to become healthy as well and to learn how to eventually stand up to this person when they need to. I think one of the hardest things with narcissistic parents is the ability to not have an emotional connection. You may have an emotional connection on some levels, but on other levels, you're going to always feel like you're just not good enough. And again, that's not something that you will necessarily be able to control, but guess what? There's always going to be times in your child's life where they may not feel good enough, when they're going through puberty, when the person that they have a crush on doesn't like them, when they're just confused in their 20s about who they are and where they, what they're going to do with the rest of their life. So all of these different phases, it doesn't always have to just do with this narcissistic parent. It's just about learning how to be a good parent to your child and helping them to form really good, healthy self-esteem. Because what you don't want is for anything that happens in their childhood with this parent, codependency, abandonment issues, all of those things that very well are going to be the case because they're not going to be able to emotionally connect with this parent. There are going to be times where this parent is going to display selfish tendencies, and all of that impact that it will have on your child, you will be able to help them, to soothe them, to help them heal from that, to validate their feelings, to be there for them. So this isn't really about protecting them from never feeling anything uncomfortable. It's about you understanding that you are equipped to help them no matter what it is that they go through in life. Because again, if it's not this parent that's hurting them, it's going to be the bully on the playground. The things that a narcissistic parent will really hurt their children with is going to be abandonment issues. It is going to be not being able to emotionally connect, which means that the parent isn't able to validate their experiences, they're not able to soothe them in healthy ways, and they're not able to motivate them to help them through the negative space that they're in. So it'll kind of be like maybe that tough love mentality, or just suppressing and ignoring what the child actually thinks and feels. Their ability to not get the empathy that they need from their parent is another big one. The perfectionism, the fear of failure is another one. All of these things are going to influence your child in a variety of ways. It could influence them in ways where it's the fuel for them to not be that way or to be successful, or it could be the fuel to really break them and hurt their self-esteem. So what I want to talk about now is what can we do as parents to help our children through these experiences. The first thing is going to be validating your child's thoughts and feelings. Now, I want you to do this regardless of what's happening between them and their parent. I can't tell you how incredibly important validation is it's important for any relationship. We all want to feel seen, we all want to feel heard, we all want validation, but for a child, it is absolutely essential, because the more that you do it, not only is it going to help you just emotionally connect with your child, but it's going to help them to emotionally connect with themselves, and you will be modeling healthy behavior so they can take that model and then do it for themselves later on in life. So validating really has to do with just accepting that they feel a certain way. It has to do with active listening, normalizing their experience. Now, what I mean by normalizing their experience is not that the experience they went through is okay, but it is normalizing their experience in that situation that they're in. It's about saying that their feelings in that experience are completely normal given the circumstances. And it also means that they're not alone in dealing with this experience and circumstance. And that's something that for the rest of your life, that's what you want your child to feel, no matter the age of the child, is that it's perfectly normal for you to be experiencing that, and you're not alone in experiencing it. Now, what you also want to do is, first off, is the validation like we just talked about, but secondly, you want to start teaching your children healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors. So this is not about bashing your ex-partner, but it is about showing the child that what they're experiencing and witnessing is actually not okay. You have to be able to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Again, this is not about bashing your ex, but it is about acknowledging the thoughts and feelings in the child and showing them that unfortunately this behavior is not okay and this is what should have happened. And depending on the age of the child, you could take it the next step further and help them to start being comfortable, confident, and healthy enough to be able to verbally communicate their boundaries possibly with this other parent, or quite frankly, anyone else that they have to deal with. So that is really the next step as your child is growing up, is being able to face that confrontation and express themselves. Then, of course, the next step is being able to have them work on the ability that just because you're expressing yourself and stating your boundaries and stating your standards with someone doesn't mean that they're going to respect them or give you what it is that you're asking for. Now, if you're dealing with a child that's a little bit younger, really what they need at that point, and again, this all varies depending on the age of the child and what you deem is an appropriate conversation at each stage of the child's life. But the next thing, quite frankly, is just you being there to hold a space for them. You being there to comfort them, give them the hugs, give them the kisses, give them the reassurance that things will get better, because it will. Doesn't mean it's going to get better with this ex-parent, that this parent is going to learn how to be healthy someday. It's that it will get better because as the child gets older, they will be able to establish boundaries. And that's what you mean, but you don't need to say it to your child right now because maybe your child is just too young. But reassuring them that things will get better, because in your mind, you know that the older they get, the more confident they are that they will be able to establish boundaries with this parent and be healthy enough to enforce those boundaries. Because guess what? You're their parent and you're teaching them and you're molding them and you're teaching them healthy behaviors. So just like you're learning how to co-parent with this person, you're learning how to deal with your own triggers, respond, not react. You're learning how to soothe yourself. They have to learn the same things, because as much as it's exhausting for you, they have to deal with this person for the rest of their life. I always want you to remember that you are the stable parent, that you have more control than you think, that even though, yes, the situation probably sucks and this is not ideal and this is not what you wanted for your child, that the quicker they can learn these lessons, the more it actually will help them in life. We are all going to have to go through uncomfortable situations in life, and it is what we learn in those uncomfortable situations. So again, we don't want our children to feel anything uncomfortable, but that's just not reality of life. And if you understand that, and in some levels, if you can embrace it, you'll actually be able to help your child in more ways than you can possibly imagine that will help them in more areas of their life than you could possibly imagine. So I hope this video helped you. I hope it gave you a little bit of comfort, a little bit of motivation, and some tips to help you to really start being able to help your child no matter what it is that they go through in life, not just this toxic relationship with their other parent. So guys, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.